Welcome back to our channel. I'm Callie, obviously. So I'm here alone. I am doing my recent reads. Bear with me. I read a lot since you last saw me talk about what I've been reading. I've read 11 books since the last time we've chatted. So I've had a pretty good reading. I don't know if it's been a month yet. Kind of like all over the place. I have contemporary, I have poetry, I've got fantasy, little bit of everything going on. So I will start with the first one, which I actually don't have because Sarah is currently reading it, and that is Obsidio by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. I gave this book 5 stars, like I gave the other 2 books in this series. It was a perfect tie to everything that happened in Illumine and Gemina, and it was just so brilliantly written. It hurt me a lot as I think about it, but it was so good. I loved it. Would 10 out of 10 read this series again when I have all the rest of the book. It was great. This whole series is 5 stars. Probably one of my favorite series of all time now. Next one I actually have, and that is Again But Better by Riccio. Riccio? I'm really sorry if I mispronounce your name. I know I hear it online all the time. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I'm not a big contemporary person, but this book had me just smiling the entire time. It was so cute and sweet, and it still made me feel. So I just really enjoyed that she was able to get that emotion out of me. It made me miss college. It made me wish that I studied abroad. It was just, I really liked it. I really liked the travel aspect. I felt like I was in London or Paris and all the other places they went, and I really enjoyed that. So I would definitely recommend this book. It was just so sweet and cute, and I don't know how many times I can say that before you get annoyed with it. So the next 2 books that I read are part of a series. I read Truly Devious and The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. For Truly Devious, I gave it 4 stars. It was a little slow at the beginning for me, but other than that, once it picked up, it picked up. I was constantly questioning what was happening, who it could be. So we follow 2 different timelines. We follow Stevie in current times, trying to solve the mystery that happened when the school opened, and we're also following that time from the disappearance of the owner's wife and daughter. So we're following kind of both at the same time. We get the reveals really nicely, and there's the Truly Devious is back. So after someone is killed on campus, Stevie has to wonder if it's Truly Devious back again or if this is something entirely new. So I really enjoyed the first book, so naturally, because I had lots and lots of questions, I picked up the second book, The Vanishing Stair. I liked this one a lot better, so I gave this one 4.5 stars. I liked it better because the pacing was a lot faster, because we already knew the world and everything from the first book, but it was so just good. I didn't know anything that was gonna happen. I had no idea, and I'm not a big mystery person, but I'm usually pretty good about guessing what's gonna happen. Some books are pretty obvious. This book, I had theories, but I have more questions than theories. So, really enjoyed these 2. Would highly recommend if you're into mystery, or even if you're looking to get into mystery. These are really good because I'm just starting to dabble in mystery, and I really like these, and I still have questions because the 3rd book comes out in January, I want to say. I have lots and lots of questions. The next book I don't have with me anymore because I just unhauled it, and that is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I gave this book 3.5 stars. This book was really short. It was about a girl who is an artist for the Fae, and because in this world, Fae can't create anything. If whatever they create, if they start to try and create something, they turn to dust, which I thought was a really cool and neat concept. I just wish that this book was fleshed out more. I wish that it was a bit longer because the story went by super quick. I think this book was only maybe 200 and some pages. It was short. So because it was so short, it was very obvious as to what was going to happen. And I didn't really care for that. There was a little bit of a twist at the end, which I liked, but I just wish it was a series, or I wish it was bigger. It just needed to be fleshed out a little bit more. So the next book that I read was Aurora Rising by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. Naturally, after I finished the Illumine files, this book had just come out and I needed it. So I got it. And I got a pretty version of it. It's got even sprayed edges and it's pink and it's pretty and I love it. So Aurora Rising, we follow these 6 cadets. So they're a part of what's called the Aurora Academy, which is just this prestigious academy. Once you graduate, you form a squad from each of the different aspects. So there's pilots, there's diplomats, there's scientists, muscle, they're called gearheads, and then the captain. So we follow those 6 groups, those 6 people on this squad. The squad leader, Ty, didn't really want this one. He was supposed to be the, like, top of his class and was supposed to have, like, his pick of the, like, best of the best. And he didn't get that chance because he saved this girl who was out of time. This girl, Aurora, who has been on this ship and in this, like, interdimensional space fold, really weird things, spacey things. He goes and saves her, and because he did that, he was unconscious for when the actual choosing ceremony was. So he didn't get a chance to pick who he wanted, so he got the people, the final of the final, the last kids to be picked in dodgeball. That's his new crew. And he's not really happy. Plus then we also follow Aurora, who is now waking up 200 years after when she fell asleep. So she's trying to do this, and, like, this big plot starts to unfold around Aurora and this squad, because she, like, is a stowaway on their ship, and they have to figure out if they need to figure out what is the right thing to do. Do they turn her over? Do they save her? What do they do? So, and it's really cool to see this team who aren't, like, necessarily close friends, especially, like, half of the crew, like, were good friends, and the other half are not. So it's kind of just trying to, like, work together and do all of that. I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4.5. It's not written in the same way as Illuminae is. It's written as a narrative, but this sucked me in so fast. It's just so good. I really enjoyed. I love their writing. Their writing together is amazing. So the next 3 books I read are actually a poetry collection, which is The Princess Saves Herself in this one, The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, and The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one, all by Amanda Lovelace. These were super quick reads. I read, I think, the first 2 in a day, and then the next morning I finished the 3rd one. These were all so good. I'm not really into poetry, but I kept hearing such good things about these books that I was like, okay, these sounds like something I'd be interested in. So I picked them up, and the first 2 I gave 5 stars. So The Princess Saves Herself in this one and The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, I gave 5 stars. They were so powerful. They really made me think. Some of the poems are just, I had to stop and just, like, reflect, and there were so many powerful one-liners in these, that it was amazing. I gave The Mermaid's Voice Returns in this one 4 stars. I still really liked it, but it didn't feel as powerful as the other 2, so it's the only reason I gave this one a little bit of a lower rating, but overall, I highly recommend these. They're so empowering. There are a lot of trigger warnings, which are stated at the very beginning of the books. They list what the trigger warnings for this book will be, just because there were things in here that were very emotional and very raw. So the next book that I read was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsah Faizal. I really hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. I gave this book 4 stars. This was my Owl Crate for the month of May. And I was a little skeptical. I hadn't heard anything about this book. So I was a little skeptical and I was a little kind of nervous to read it. But it kept staring at me. It kept calling to me. So I read it. And it was a ride. This book was such a fun ride. So in this book, we follow 2 characters who are in this fantasy realm inspired by ancient Arabia. So I'd never read a book that's based on a Middle Eastern fantasy, which I really, really liked. I'll just read you the, like, very first thing. People lived because she killed. People died because he lived. So we follow a girl who is a hunter, who in her state or realm, I guess, women aren't allowed to do anything. They're allowed to get married and have babies. That is it. So she is going around as a hunter, keeping her little village alive. She is the, like, almost sole provider for her town. And she's one of the only people who can go into this magical forest and not lose her mind. One of the big things about this is there's this magical forest at the very edge of all of them. And then in the middle, past the forest, is a sea and this magical island that no one's been able to get to until now. So this magical forest, if anyone enters it, they go insane and die in the forest and are never seen again. She's one of the only people who can go into this forest and come back out with kills, with food, and her sanity. And then the other one we follow is the Crown Prince, who is also an assassin. He is doing his father's bidding, he is noticing his father is going crazy and just wants to take over the entire country. Or the entire realm. Like, that's what his whole thing is. He's, like, slowly moving clockwise to take over each of these states. His dad threatens to, like, torture people he loves because this prince sees his only weakness is his compassion. So, we follow both of them it's a dual perspective. When a silver witch comes and tells them that they need to go to the magical island to restore magic to the realm. Because restoring magic to the realm will save it, essentially. Save it from war, save it from a bunch of bad things happening. So they each get different invitations to go, and they meet up later on the island. They have to figure out ways to survive with each other, and they each came with, like, little troops. I guess they each came with, like, a partner, and they meet other people who have gotten these invitations to the island. And then there's magic introduced, which the magic system is so cool. I really enjoyed it. There is a ton of world building and history in this book, so it makes it a tad bit dense. It's a little bit thicker, but it was so just magical and enticing, and I really, really enjoyed this story. It was different from any other fantasy I've ever read. I'm really excited. I know this is going to be a duology or trilogy. Not really sure. I know there's a second one. That's about all I got. Potentially a third. So I'm really excited. I can sense big things coming in the next one. Really good book. I only have one book left. Thanks for bearing with me. And that is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira. I actually finished this today. I gave this book 4.5. This book was so good. I'm always down for a mermaid. Anything. Super pumped to read this. Sarah kept talking about it. And I was just in the mood for killer mermaids, I guess. I think the thing that I love the most about this is the science. As someone who has a degree in biology and studied marine biology for a little bit, this book was weirdly accurate in what would be mermaids if we actually found them, how they would have evolutionarily existed. And I found that to be so cool, but it was so realistic, it was horrifying. And it's just, holy crap. It was ridiculous how I felt like I was just watching a documentary of the filming of this book. It was so realistic in the science, in the way they explained how the mermaids or sirens could have evolved and different ways that they survived, why they've been so hidden from us. And it was just awesome. This was so good and just utterly horrifying in ways that, like, if we found mermaids, I expect them to be like this. And that's a horrifying notion. If I said horrifying enough, because I don't think I have. It's horrifying. Really good. We follow a science vessel trying to find mermaids. Lo and behold, they find them. And stuff hits the fan. And it's a bad day for everyone. Sirens, people. It's a bad day for everyone. And it's still like it's still a mystery, which was really cool and an aspect I didn't think about when going into a Killer Mermaid book. But the mystery is just how did they develop? How did they do this? And as a scientist, I was for that all day. For it. I was here for it. I loved it. It was great. So those are all the books that I've read since the last time we've talked. Currently, I am reading our book of the month, which is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Sometime in July, we will be posting our spoilery book talk on Renegades. So I finally decided to pick it up. If you have any recommendations or if you've read Renegades, don't spoil it for me, but comment if you liked it. I know Supernova comes out later this year, which I'm really excited for if I really enjoy this series. I loved Marissa Meyer's Lunar Chronicles, so I'm really anticipating to really like this one. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. All of our links are down below for social media. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we upload. And I will see you in our next video. Thanks. Bye.